Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4, Episode 12. It's called Hot Potato Soup. Full
Hmm.
spoilers for the episode. I have to admit, I had no idea what this was going to be about based on the title. I seen the name,
I was like, what on earth is this?
yeah, and then we were greeted to the return of Patton Oswalt to the show, playing three characters in this show. There's already one of them that's dead from season
Yeah,
one, and I think we knew.
season two, surely.
Sorry,
Season two, surely.
no, season one. Because it was Ward. Season one. It was just after the twist in season one.
Oh, was it that late? I thought it was early season two. Okay.
No, yeah, it was. It was then because I remember they find his body. Remember it's when Sky leaves that message in the mirror saying
Yeah,
Ward
yeah.
is Hydra. It was on that bit.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, there's two that we've seen again since then, and they're back. And then we also meet a third one, and then also a sister who I'm almost surprised they didn't just have Patton Oswalt with a wig on. If I'm
I am as well. I was half waiting for it.
yeah. But no, instead, I recognise the actress. She was on It's Always Sunny. She's
Artemis.
Artemis, there you go, that's her name. She's a recurring character in that, which
Yeah.
is a little correct, I guess. Patton Oswalt was dropping references to things like there was no tomorrow in this
Like,
episode.
the opening scene was like four different ones.
Yeah, it was like the two of them on, I think, segways going like past
Yeah,
the
yeah.
camera.
No, it was the hoverboard ones without the.
What was it, the hoverboard ones, right?
Yeah.
But you just see them like flying through the camera, and they kept quoting movies. There was a couple of Star Wars quotes, then a Back to the Future, then one
Yeah.
of them falls over. That was just. Although it got delightful. I loved them being excited to call Sky Quake. That was amusing in of itself. That did not prepare me for the conversation about fan fiction on the internet.
I know. As soon as he started mentioning it, and then it's like, okay, I see where this is going.
Do you know what the funny thing was? It started off kind of funny, and then it got not funny. There was a point where I thought it was going too long, and he's
And then
talking
it got
about.
funny again.
And then it got funny again once because I was like, some of it's quite steamy, and I'm like, oh, that's not that funny. But then he's like, yeah, they're shipping you with Black Widow, and then I started laughing because it was so specific.
And then it cracked me up when it goes, it's called Quack. Like, that is amazing. I ship it.
Yeah.
I ship it.
It's like, not that I've looked, but you hear things. You hear things.
Yeah.
Oh, her reaction's great. See, now I want Sky to shop in an Avengers movie with Patton Oswalt in the scene, just so that she can see, like, have Black Widow in the same scene, and then go, wait a minute, I remember this thing that he told me about.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh boy.
do you know what I want them to do actually? You know how like later on in the episode, Sky comes in and like uses her, she quakes. I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
She quakes to save various people and then whatnot. It always looks cool, by the way. I always have fun
So is that impact as well?
when she enters the scene quaking. But I want her to do that with Black Widow, right? And,
Right.
and in the movie, like where she comes in and Black Widow comes in and hits someone as well. And then I want Patton Oswalt to say, "That was a quack attack."
Jesus. Oh my god.
So the plot of this one is that the Darkhold was given to one of the Oswalds, and he gave it to another Oswald, and they played hot potato, which is where the title comes from. And they kept passing it around, so only one would know at a time what it was, but it kept moving, so it was never in the same place for too long, kind of thing. But the Watchdogs, along with Radcliffe, kidnap what they think is the one and only Oswald, but they soon learn there's more than one Oswald, and they try. They play it at first, Radcliffe's as if he's been. They try and play it as if he's been turned against by the end.
I like that they don't make it go on too long because it's obvious to us that what's going on.
Because we know how Sly is. I don't believe a word out of his mouth at this point.
Exactly. I think we're supposed to know this, so we're
Yeah.
supposed to not believe it, which is why it doesn't go on very long, because otherwise it would just feel insulting.
Yeah, and we have. Do you know what's funny? The actor who plays the captain of the submarine.
Stereotypical Russian villain number 3.
Aye, him. He reminds me. Now, you'd probably say it's just because he's stereotypical, but the actor specifically reminds me of another actor whose name I can't tell you. He was in King Kong, the Peter Jackson King Kong. He's
Oh,
been in a
I
few
haven't seen
movies,
that in far too long.
but he just. I actually thought it was him for a bit until he. He was around. It could be his brother or something. It looks so similar that I'm thinking,
Right.
maybe it could be related. But he's also got a similar kind of Russian accent, I think. It's definitely European from what I remember. It's been a while since I've seen him in a movie,
Right.
but very very similar. Maybe it is the same actor. Maybe he's just older, and that's why I'm thinking it's
Nothing to check.
because I forgot about it and then we started recording, and now it's too late. So I'm just going to leave it there. But it reminded me of him. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so him and then long-haired watchdog dude who we've seen a few times. He's kind of like the one face we have to go to. Oh, this is definitely the watchdogs because it's him,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And Radcliffe tries to map his mind so that he can watch his memories, and he does, and he eventually gets to the location of the book, which kind of goes on at the same time as Fitz and Simmons and Mac. Well, Mac just kind of stands around with his axe, wanting to cut his head off. But Fitz and Simmons are trying to like hack into Radcliffe robot from last week, the LMD, and LMD Radcliffe, much like May, seems to all have all the memories and stuff. So there's still like personality, and there's still all that kind of thing.
It's still basically Radcliffe for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, and he mentions Fitz's father, which Fitz gets really upset about. He kind of snaps when he mentions it, and we learn that his father was very kind of, I don't know if abusive is the right word, at least not physically
Emotionally
abusive. Emotionally abusive, yeah, that's the way to put it.
It never sounded like physically abusive.
Nah, and that obviously it's funny because we've never actually. I don't think we've learned a lot about most of their parents, to be honest. It's not something that comes up for most of the characters on this show. Sky's the exception because the father was.
Yeah, there was a plot.
Yeah, but everyone else is kind of not really mentioned it, and. Yeah, I thought this was all fine enough. Again, there was some good moments of humour came from various things that Radcliffe was saying, but it all comes down to them realising that May, like because they realised that the only way that they could copy the brain like this is to actually copy it from the person, and Simmons knows that May's was red. She was, it was back when she was hurt and Radcliffe was scanning her and whatnot. So they kind of put two and two together, which is funny because Coulson also at the same time kind of realizes once May
just a little bit too late.
A little bit too late, but once it's kind of that thing where, and it's very believable in a sense that once she points a gun at him and starts acting properly out of character,
you think back as to what he's been doing.
He then retrospectively goes, "Oh wait a minute, all this romance bollocks. This doesn't seem like me."
Well, not even just that, but all episodes she was going, right, where's the Darkhold? You got it. Where is it? Oh, well, we need to know where it is. And Coulson was like, no, we don't want to know. It's fine. Just that's the whole point. But she was like, no, where is it? Constantly. So I think, like, to us, it's obvious. I imagine once he kind of thought about it, it kind of all clicks into place.
It's kind of that thing, though, when you realise something and then you think back and you think, oh, all these things fit together now that I've realised this. It feels like that sort of moment that he has, and I think that makes it feel a lot more realistic, which is cool. So get a bit of fight. Watchdogs show up. They all have a bit of fight, and so there's some quaking going on. I like the whole quake to put because he slides the book across to them to release the Oswald, and she quakes it back over from above. I thought it was a cool little touch. So yeah, we find out at the end because there's some teasing throughout the middle of the episode that the Watchdogs have a sort of, once they eradicate the Inhumans, there's like another thing. So what they believe to be the cause of the Inhuman menace. And I was like, oh, what could this be? And then it was the tag scene at the end when he's like, oh, I believe it's the same thing to blame for the Inhumans, the Chitauri, the Kree, all of the alien menace. And I was like, he's going to say S.H.I.E.L.D., and I don't know if that feels boring. But then it was specifically Coulson. I'm like, oh, that's a bit more interesting. It's still not as exciting as I was hoping it would be,
It's
though.
not, but at least I like the angle of, he was dead, yet he still keeps popping up, and he's always just there in the background. And he always has been.
Yeah, and I think it works at least to an extent because that's kind of what he was in the movies until S.H.I.E.L.D. started. He just kept popping up, and I like that the first picture you see of him that he throws down, I think that is from Thor. It seems like the desert stuff from Thor.
It does look like it, yeah.
And I think it works in that sense. It's a little bit less interesting because I thought, oh, who's the big bad? That obviously we're saving the Superior, unless that is the Superior. Is Russian dude Superior?
I didn't get that.
Because they say he's funding Nadir, but I don't know. I didn't feel like he was the big bad.
No, I didn't feel that because they never addressed him as the Superior. Like everyone else is referred to the Superior, whereas he's just like, no, I'm the captain of the ship. He'd call himself that. I feel.
Yeah, I feel like they could almost cop it out and say it was though, just in the sense that he had that big entrance where he walks in and you think he's like preparing some sort of weird like torture device, and it's just some vodka to drink.
Like I said, stereotypical Russian villain number 3. And then going on talking about vodka and how the old ways are better.
Yeah,
Like, oh, this is so cliche almost.
I thought I was playing Metro 2033 for a second
Yeah.
there. Uh, but yeah, that was it. I thought it was a fine episode of Shield. There was a lot of fun stuff with the Oswalds.
Yeah.
It advanced the plot so a little bit. Certainly, I don't think it's the exciting, twisty, changey episode that last week was.
No, certainly not.
I think obviously it establishes that they don't know where May is and they need to find May, so it raises the stakes for all the main characters.
Yeah.
Which is good.
There's a little scene I really liked. It's when Mac was talking to LMD, and
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
that's a good scene.
like, do I have a soul? And it was like he was convincing Mac, and he was hesitating, and you could see him doing like what we saw Fitz do with Ada.
Well,
Where-
he kind of proves it at the end though, because he says, "Well, why did you turn me on to kill me? You could have just
Yeah.
cut my head off."
But it makes me think then, is Mac feeling guilty for just chopping Ada's head off?
I don't see him going down a guilt path with that, because it is.
Not like incredibly guilty, but was he maybe feeling it a bit? Because if he's considering it now, then surely he'd have to question, well, was Ada?
Maybe. To me, it was more like, because we know Mac's religious. It doesn't come up often, but it's come up a couple of times where he's mentioned he's religious, and I think that's like questioning his beliefs, or at the very least, adapting his belief to like, well, if you believe souls exist and souls aren't just because of flesh and blood, and, like the way he describes it is, it's not for flesh and blood, but if the soul doesn't come from that,
Then why can't I have one?
then why can't I have one? Yeah, like.
And it is, I guess, to argue against myself here, the reason he could do it with Hammond is that he's based on a real person, so he's got everything, whereas Ada was from scratch.
Also, Ada was actively trying to like do bad stuff when he, it was like if that had been a human, it wouldn't have been. It would have been a plausible kill.
Yeah,
it would. I mean, decapitation probably was a bit extreme for a regular human being, but it would have still been
justified.
Justified, yeah. So yeah, that's probably the way I'd look at it. But no, that was a really good scene actually. It was like I feel this was. Obviously, there was some fun stuff with the hot potatoing, and there was the interrogation and stuff. But it felt like an interesting mix of the moving the pieces around the board episode, but at the same time handling it much better than it typically does, because I
think it was just that it had the fun of the Oswalds and it's still playing with that joke of were they actually brothers or were they something else?
But it is still advanced stuff though, because it did. They found out about May, and that's moved things along. So. Certainly, I think, obviously, the first episode back and then last week's were really good.
Yeah.
This was not as exciting.
It's kind of alternating, isn't it? Of like, it's really good, and then it's just good.
Yeah, but it was solid enough, though. Certainly nothing to complain about, I don't think. Outside of maybe overly stereotypical Russian villain.
I mean, it's not really a big complaint, because...
We know he's not the main threat, so it's not...
Yeah, and everyone kind of does it, so... But it's just why I literally can't remember his name. Because of that.
Oh god, no, I can't.
No chance.
There you go, that's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Episode 12. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. You can get us on Twitter at mild_fudge. You can get our individual Twitters on the screen. And yeah, so thanks very much for watching, guys. We will see you next